Hello everyone, welcome to Sunya IAS and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to discuss the Prime Minister of India and a very important topic. Not a lot of questions have come directly, but whenever a question comes, you must be ready for it. There is no guarantee that UPSC has given that they will not ask a question on Prime Minister. And since 2024 is the election year, anytime you can get a question on Prime Minister. So before starting this class, let me tell you what is the objective of these classes. Prelims 2024 is coming and we are revising our entire syllabus through MCQs. Entire polity we will be covering through more than 400 MCQs. And along with solving the MCQs, my goal is to make notes, get notes made for you, and you will be making these handwritten notes on A4 size sheets. What is the objective of these notes? These are for final revision. These notes are for final revision that you will touch upon when you are 1 week before prelims. It is a misconception that people think that 1 week before prelims, everything is very messed up. You don't have the time, the energy to revise. It's not like that. Toppers and everyone who clears this paper has a very clear strategy that they have to revise everything as many times as possible, and that is your job, and in that job I am going to help you. So throughout seeing these lectures, always make handwritten notes and make it on loose A4 size sheets. So for example, for the entire topic of Prime Minister, maximum you will make a note of 1 page. Sounds unbelievable, but we are going to make it happen and we will see how we will make it happen. So regarding the Prime Minister, please give heading on your page, Prime Minister. And about the Prime Minister, he, right now it's a he, so I'll just talk in he terms. He is the head of government. Just like the President of the United States of America is the head of state and government both. The Prime Minister is the head of government. That means the Prime Minister serves as long as the Union Council of Ministers serves. The term is 5 years. It is not mentioned anywhere in the Constitution. It is not mentioned that the Prime Minister will work for 5 years. It is mentioned that the Prime Minister will work on the pleasure of the President. And Prime Minister is the real executive head. Okay, real executive head. The President of India is called the nominal executive head. Prime Minister of India is called the real executive head. So this is the differentiation that you need to remember. Another thing that you need to write down is that no specific procedure is mentioned regarding the removal of Prime Minister or the election of Prime Minister. Okay. So no article is mentioned separately that this is how the Prime Minister will be elected. Unlike the President. For the President it is mentioned. Although Prime Minister is much more powerful than the President in India. Still there is no separate procedure. So how is the Prime Minister elected? The leader of the largest party. Leader of the largest party who has gained the largest amount. Not the largest party who has contested. Leader of the largest party that has won the elections in Lok Sabha is appointed as the Prime Minister of India by the President. So there is no recommendation that this person has to be the Prime Minister, etc. It is very clear that when a party has enough seats to create the government, that party will elect a person, that party will choose a person that this is our leader. Please appoint this person as the Prime Minister of India. If there is no party who has a clear majority, right? If they are not able to make the government, then it might lead to hung assembly. Hung assembly, hung parliament, hung Lok Sabha. In that case, the president gets the situational discretion that they can, if the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers is able to prove the majority, they can actually be elected, but that is situational discretion. Okay, so that is there. Now, this thing that the largest party's leader will be elected, this is not mentioned in the constitution. This has come up as a part of convention. And this question has been asked earlier, so please pay a lot of attention over here. This has come to be a part of convention. Now, another thing, the Prime Minister can be from any house of the parliament. Okay, any house of the parliament, can be from Lok Sabha, can be from Rajya Sabha. Most of our Prime Ministers have been from Lok Sabha, but there have been very important people like Indira Gandhi herself, like Manmohan Singh himself, who have been from Rajya Sabha. Okay, this is in, and please keep on writing as I'm saying. Okay, this is in contrast with UK. In UK, the Prime Minister can only be from the lower house, that is the House of Commons. There, the lower house is called the House of Commons. So, Prime Minister can only be from the House of Commons in UK. That is not the case in India, right? So, this is something about the Prime Minister that you need to remember. Then again, as it is mentioned for the Council of Ministers also, the Prime Minister can be a person who is not an MP. It is very surprising that anyone who is not a member of Parliament can be made the Prime Minister of India, but this person has to be elected to the Indian Parliament within 6 months. Elected or nominated to the Indian Parliament within 6 months. So that means that even a nominated member of the Rajya Sabha can be the Prime Minister of India. Okay, even a nominated member of Rajya Sabha can be the Prime Minister of India. Very, very, very important. Okay. Another thing that you need to write, who appoints and administers the oath to the Prime Minister? It is of course the President of India. It is very common, very much common sense that the President of India appoints the Prime Minister also and administers oath also. Fine. Another thing, if and when the Prime Minister resigns, if and when the Prime Minister dies, if and when the Prime Minister loses confidence, he is removed, then the entire Council of Minister has to resign. The government falls. Are you understanding? Now, please don't confuse Council of Ministers to Lok Sabha itself. The Lok Sabha does not fall necessarily. If the Prime Minister has, for example, died, then the Council of Ministers will have to leave the post of the Council of Ministers. There will be a new government. So the Council of Ministers will have two options. Either they can elect another person, they can just choose another person to be the Prime Minister, and that person can prove their majority, or the entire Council of Ministers has to resign. Lok Sabha is not necessarily affected. Lok Sabha is going on. So, don't think that Lok Sabha is affected by the death or the resignation. It's not that if the Prime Minister has died or has resigned, then entire election will be held again. Okay. So, this is very, very important. Why the Prime Minister is called the most powerful person of the country? The President is called the rubber stamp. Prime Minister is called the most powerful person of the country because it is on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister that President is supposed to take all the decisions that a President takes. So, as a Prime Minister, the PM can also recommend the removal of a minister. Please see it very carefully. It can get a little complicated from here. And I hope you are writing this down. the Prime Minister can recommend that please remove this minister from his ministerial post. So for example, let's say we are talking about the Home Minister. The Prime Minister can recommend to the President of India that please remove this minister from the post of Home Minister. Does that mean that the Prime Minister will recommend that please remove this minister as a member of Parliament also? No. Prime Minister cannot remove the member of Parliament. Why? Why do you think that is? That is because the member of Parliament enjoys the popular support. The member of Parliament has come into the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha by election. And in a democracy, you cannot take away the rights of people by your whims and fancies, even if you are the Prime Minister of India. Are you understanding? So, Prime Minister can choose his cabinet. Prime Minister can choose his council of ministers. But Prime Minister cannot choose the person who is to be an MP. Are you understanding? MP seat will be available to the MP until and unless the MP resigns or is disqualified or the term gets over or whatever. Are you understanding? This is the power of the Prime Minister. Please remember that. Now that you have written all of this, let's go on to the question. Consider the following statements regarding the Prime Minister of India. The Prime Minister is responsible for the administration of the government. The Prime Minister is appointed by the President on the advice of the Council of Ministers. And the Prime Minister can be removed from office by a vote of no confidence in the Lok Sabha. How many of the above statements are correct? Now see statement number 1. It is a generic statement that of course Prime Minister is responsible for the administration of government. No doubt about it. So first statement is correct. Second statement, Prime Minister is appointed by the President is correct. This much part is correct. But on the advice of Council of Ministers, no. In fact, it is the opposite. The Council of Ministers are appointed on the advice of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister can choose, the Prime Minister can reshuffle, the Prime Minister can add more members, not more than 15% of the Lok Sabha, right? According to 91st Constitutional Amendment Act. So, half of the statement is incorrect. That makes the entire statement incorrect. Then Prime Minister can be removed from the office by a vote of no confidence in Lok Sabha. This is absolutely correct. Although it is not just the Prime Minister, but the entire Council of Ministers has to resign because the vote of no confidence, which can be passed only in Lok Sabha, cannot be moved against only one minister. It will be moved against the entire government of India. Are you understanding? So, Prime Minister is not that he will only be removed and the whole Council of Ministers will sustain. No. If the Prime Minister is removed, entire Council of Ministers is removed. But yes, this statement is not wrong that Prime Minister actually can be removed from office by a vote of no confidence. If this word was Lok Sabha, if this word Lok Sabha was Parliament, then this statement would have been incorrect because no confidence motion cannot be passed in Rajya Sabha, cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha has no role because Rajya Sabha is not the popular house. So third statement is absolutely incorrect. Absolutely correct. First statement is absolutely correct. So only two statements are correct. Fine. I hope you have noted it down. Next one. Consider the following statements regarding the powers of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister can be from Rajya Sabha. The Prime Minister represents India in international negotiations and conducts diplomacy with foreign ministers, foreign countries. And the Prime Minister has the power to dismiss the members of Lok Sabha. How many of the above statements are correct? One by one, we know the first statement is correct. Indira Gandhi, Manmohan Singh, we have talked about it. The second statement is actually correct, and this is one of the functions of Prime Minister. Now you might think that this should be the Foreign Minister, right? This should be the External Affairs Minister who does these kind of things, that they conduct diplomacy, etc. See, understand, Prime Minister is the moon among lesser stars. Prime Minister can take the ownership and the leadership of any and every ministry that he wants. He does not have to explain it to everyone. So, any visit that the External Affairs Minister does, the Prime Minister is empowered to do that. Anything that the Defense Minister does, everyone works on the advice and the, not just the advice, actually the directions of the Prime Minister. Hence, the Prime Minister is the most important person in the country and most powerful person in the country. Okay. So, second statement is correct. Third statement is actually wrong. We have just discussed. If here it would have been mentioned minister, then it would have been correct. But it is mentioned member of Lok Sabha. No. Prime Minister is not supposed to be a dictator that he or she can remove anyone and everyone under the sun. No. That is not how it's supposed to happen. So, third statement is incorrect. Only two statements are correct. I hope you understand. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements about the Prime Minister of India. The Prime Minister is the head of the Union Council of Ministers. The Prime Minister can appoint the Chief Election Commissioner, and the Prime Minister's term is fixed at 5 years. How many of the given statements are correct? One by one. First statement is absolutely correct. Council of Minister के head होते हैं, हम बात कर चुके हैं इस बारे में. Prime Minister can appoint Chief Election Commissioner? No. Chief Election Commissioner is a constitutional body and is appointed by the President of India. Understandable? So this statement is incorrect. Then Prime Minister's term is fixed at 5 years? No. There is no compulsion that Prime Minister has to serve for 5 years if the Prime Minister loses the confidence of the House, if the Prime Minister resigns, if the Prime Minister is removed as an MP or whatever, there can be 5 years, there can be less than 5 years also. So this is incorrect. It is the pleasure of the President. Now, one very important thing, which makes the Prime Minister the most important person in the country. Prime Minister can actually recommend to the President to dissolve the Lok Sabha. See how big a thing this is, to dissolve the Lok Sabha. Kitni badi baat hai ye? Prime Minister can recommend to the President that this Lok Sabha does not enjoy the confidence of the public anymore. So please remove this Lok Sabha from existence. Please dissolve this Lok Sabha. Fine. This of course does not come out of the blue. But this power is there with the Prime Minister, making him the most powerful man in the country. Okay. So here, I hope you have written this. Only two statements are incorrect. One is correct. Fine. So A is the answer. Now, regarding the Prime Minister of India, we will do what we always do. We have written some facts. Now, we will go to M. Laxmikant to see if there is anything that is remaining that needs to be added in your notes, right? We will not make more than one pager note for the entire topic of Prime Minister. It should be less than 1 pages because there is very few information that is there to remember for the Prime Minister. Right? He is the actual head. He is the real head. President is the nominal head. That much you need to remember. Read M. Laxmikant, Prime Minister topic, and extract everything that you need to make it a point that the notes will not be more than 1 page, and then shut down that topic forever from M. Laxmikant. You do not have to remember it. Create that final page of revision for yourself. Fine. So that is all for Prime Minister. And now let me just tell you a little bit about this course that we are running. Our goal is to save your time and maximize your potential and your energies into answering the prelims based questions. So the name of this course is Revise Entire Prelims Syllabus through 3000 plus MCQs. We have modern history, Indian polity, Indian geography, economy, art and culture, current affairs, ancient medieval, environment, ecology, and science and technology that we will be doing through MCQs. And the logic is that your time is very crucial. Your MCQ solving ability has to be developed gradually. You need to develop that knack of knowing that this particular option has to be wrong and reading every option till the end. So, if you want a dedicated schedule, if you want these set of 3000 MCQs and these discussion videos and the trick of making our notes till the end like we are making, so that you have a good, for Indian polity, let's say a 30 or 40 pages notes just before prelims that you will revise, you can join this course. We have tried to keep it as affordable as possible. So to find out more about this course, you can call on this number. You can visit this website, and if you think that it will help you, go for it. We have kept it very affordable to make sure that everyone can access it. So I hope you enjoyed this class and this class added some value to your preparation. Please don't forget to go back to Laxmikant and close that chapter forever. Add it in your notes, and that, trust me, that is going to help you. I'll see you all in the next class. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.